Hello everyone. I just want to do a short video this morning. We're still in the coronavirus. I'm going to be in 1 Corinthians, the second chapter. I'm going to read verse 1 through 10. If my allergies will let me this morning, I'm having a little trouble. But it says, "And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech, or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and Him crucified." I don't have the excellency of speech, but I got the excellency of heart, I think, where my heart is with you, wanting to help you. Determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and Him crucified. I've went visiting a lot down through the years, and what typically happens to me on Saturday morning, I'll get up and we don't have church maybe that night, and I'll be in here in this very room praying, "Lord, where do you want me to go?" And maybe he doesn't give me an answer. It's getting on up towards lunchtime. I live about 40 minutes from Gurley, and if I'm going out that way to church, then I've got probably that many more minutes to go to wherever I may be going to church. So I know I need to leave probably 2 or 3 o'clock so I can go hit Highway 72 and go on. And if I don't have an answer, I'll take me a church directory with me, and I'll sit it in the seat beside me in the car. I start out the door here at this house, and my wife said, "Where are you going?" And I say, "I don't know." And she'll say, "Dale, you mean to tell me you don't know where you're going?" And I'll say, "Yes, I'm trying to tell you I don't know where I'm going, so I need you to pray for me." And I'll go, and all along the way, I'm saying, "Lord, if you want me to go anywhere, if you'll let me know in time, I'll sure try to go." So when we get on up, when I get on up through there, finally he'll tell me. And I've got the church director with me, so I'll call the minister of that church and say, "Are y'all having church tonight?" And if he says yes, I say, "Is it a good night for me to come visit y'all?" And I'll go on. And invariably, not every time, but so many times, it's happened to me that I would go, and whenever they shake hands with me, somebody would say, "I knew you was coming." And I'd say, how did you know I was coming? Because I didn't even know myself. And they said, "Well, I was down praying." I said, "Well, when?" And they say, "About 9:30 this morning." I said, "Well, he just let me know about 2 o'clock. So next time, why don't you call me and save me all of this not knowing?" But when I call the minister, I don't ask him anything that's going on at that church. I don't want to know. I want God to help us. It's the same way if somebody calls from our church to talk to my wife. If there's any whiff of trouble in there, I don't want to know anything about it. And he said, "And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in the demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God." Excuse me just a moment here. And then he goes on to say in verse 6, "Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, not the wisdom of this world, nor the princes of this world that come to naught. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory." It said, "But we speak the wisdom of God," in verse 7, "in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world." Let me ask you something. Wisdom, we already know. We spoke about it in another video. We ought to know how precious that is, how much it's needed by God's people. If it is that precious, and God knows everything, He knows we need it, why would He hide it from us? Well, He didn't hide it from us. He hid it for us, so that when we get ready, it'll be available to us. He don't want to give it to us too premature. I heard a story about a man. He gave his son a gold pocket watch when his son was born, and he got it for him when he was born, but he didn't give it to him. Because why didn't he give it to him then? because he couldn't handle it. If he gave it to him when he got 2 or 3 years old, he would beat it. He would have beat it to pieces. So that's the way we are. That's why God don't give us any more things than he does. He knows at this point in time that we don't have the maturity and that we can't handle it. And so he didn't give it to him at day one. He didn't give it to him on day two, year one. He didn't give it to him until he was able to handle it. The little boy was probably all around where that watch was. That's like the wisdom. It's hidden for us, not from us, but for us for when we get ready for it. And we've been all around it. But when we prove to God that we can handle it and do the right thing by it, I believe he'll give it to us. I thought about hiding things. I thought about Moses. Moses and Jesus, they were, at the time of their birth, they was out after them. They was trying to kill the little babies, 2 years old and under or whatever. And so when Moses was born, his mother hid him. Where did she hide him? Now I'm asking questions and you're not able to answer me right now, but the purpose of me asking is to provoke your thought. Where did she hide Moses? In the house, I believe. You can read it. But not a house like this, not a house like you live in, 3-bedroom, a bath or 2 or whatever, 4, maybe you even got 4 or 5 bedrooms. But it was a Hebrew slave house. To me, I would think it was not much more than a tent. So how do you hide a screaming, crying baby in a tent? You can't, except God help you. So she hid him there, I think it was 3 months, and when she could no longer hide him, they made a little ark of bulrushes, put Moses in it, took him down to the river, his sister was with him, and let it go. And there at the river's edge, I think it said, or at the river, was Pharaoh's daughter. And so there, he's floating down the river. How would you like to put your, I'm not talking about Goose Pond or Gunnersville Lake or something like that. How would you like to put your baby, I believe it was the Nile River. How would you like to put your baby in the Nile River? And where snakes, crocodiles, and all such is there. But anyway, somebody came and found him. And I would ask you, who was that? But I already told you just a minute ago, it was Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter? Man, isn't that the man that's trying to kill him? Yeah. And where did she take him? Now, I don't think she took him that very minute, but eventually he wound up at Pharaoh's house. Now we're dealing with King James. King James and the thous and the these, and it's pretty hard to understand sometimes. So I'm trying to put it in common language, maybe a little something that you can get a grip on. But she took him to Pharaoh's house. To me, that is so incredible. The man that's trying to kill him winds up, and that's where he's at. So I think he was a little older when she finally got him down there. But if he was a baby, now Pharaoh's buying his little diapers, his baby food, his milk. Pharaoh's providing everything, and we even eventually wound up providing his education. So that, to me, that is so incredible. And I already told you on another video that I sought after wisdom since I was about 11 years old. And that's what I want, is wisdom. I know when Solomon, I think I even had a broadcast about Solomon. The Lord came to him in a dream and asked him what did he want, and he said understanding heart, I believe, but in essence he asked for wisdom. And God said, because you didn't ask for long life, you didn't ask for the life of your enemies, you didn't ask for riches, I'm going to give you all of those things. So he had an opportunity to test his wisdom. Here comes this two women, and they're saying the same story. They're both saying they had this story that they was in the same bed in the same night, and one of the ladies laid on her baby and it died. and she switched it with the one that was the living baby. They both said that, but they was different on who that was that had the living baby. So, so there they was. So there was nowhere he could look. There was no book that he could thumb through, no precedent for Solomon. And he said, bring me a sword. And I'm thinking, bring me a sword? And he said, we'll cut the baby in half. Give half to her and half to her. And the one that it didn't belong to said, that sounds like a good idea to me. Just go ahead and do that. And but the one that said that it did belong to said, don't harm the baby, just give it to her. That's how you know who the baby belongs to. It was very simple. I could have done it from there. And, the baby, to me is that's representing in my mind the church. There's people that they want their way, and if it means splitting the baby in half, they're willing. But a true elder wants what's best for the church. If I had a white mule and painted black stripes on it, would I have a zebra? No. If I had a black mule and painted white stripes on it, I still wouldn't have a zebra. You can tell me you're an elder, but what I judge is if you're looking out for what's good, best for the church. Wisdom comes from revelation. Knowledge comes from information. I want to read this verse here, and then it says, verse 9, it says, but it says, it's written, I have not seen neither nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. I struggle with that scripture, with that verse. I have not seen, neither ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. And I believe that what he's talking about is wisdom does not come through the eye. It doesn't come through the ear. That's information. It comes through revelation. If you live long enough, make enough mistakes, correct enough mistakes, you're going to have experience and you're going to have knowledge. But that doesn't give you wisdom. And then the last verse says, but God hath revealed them to us by his Spirit. By his Spirit. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit, for the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God. There are some deeper things. The common things lay just right on the surface, but for the deeper things, you have to get God to help you go deeper. I mentioned the Guntersville Lake. An old friend of mine, Brother Hubert Sampson, he's been gone since 1986. He told me that he went by the Guntersville, that body of water there at Guntersville many times. He said he saw the yachts. They had names, the Nina, the Marie, whatever the name was. And he said that just looking at those every time didn't tell him what was at the bottom of that river. And there's deep things of God. This just said, for God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. For the Spirit searches all things, yea, the deep things. So that tells me there's deep things and there's things that's shallow. If you went to the ocean hunting a sunken treasure and you just jumped off the side of the ship and went down in there to the bottom, you wouldn't make it. After a while, your lungs would just bust. But if you had on equipment, those tanks and whatever else that you call it that they put on. So in this way, in God's way, you can't get the deep things naturally. It's a spiritual man that can get them. You got to put on charity and the things it talks about. Add ye faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, and on like that. You got to add those things to go deeper. You got to lay off grudges. You got to do anything. You got to do the things. You got to make deposits, the plus things like loving and helping. The minus things are like grudges and unforgiving. So you got to do the positive things. We need to go deep. But I'm going to warn you, every like that Nintendo game that me and my grandson played. Every level has a new devil. You on the surface you don't encounter all that, but when you start going deep and investigating what God's got for us, you're going to see those things. And so that's the deep things of God. I'd like to investigate some of those deep things of God. Um, the hidden wisdom. I know my dad. He taught me two valuable lessons. He never did. He wasn't a churchgoer. He didn't live right, but he taught me two lessons. One of them was not to make fun of anybody, and then he didn't like bragging, so he passed that on to me. We were at a basketball game. We didn't go to church. I don't know how old I was, 9 or 10 or whatever. And there was a man out there. There's a basketball player. He had the biggest ears that I'd ever saw. And so I said, "Look at old Dumbo, one with the big ears. Looked like he could fly away." And I'm telling you, my dad didn't live right. He grabbed me by the collar. And I believe that if there hadn't been so many witnesses in there, that I would have been in trouble. No telling what would have happened to me. And he told me, "Don't you ever make fun of anybody again. They can't help it. And you're fortunate what you got, and they're unfortunate what they got, and don't make fun of anybody again." And I tried to follow that rule. I tried to always gravitate towards the underdog, the people that's without. And so then the other one he taught me was not to brag. My dad worked for the government, and they'd send a little form home. I guess they got some kind of something for the schools if your dad worked for the government. I'm not quite sure. But at any rate, they sent it home, and it asked these questions. My mother helped me fill it out. I didn't know what my dad did. And I asked him, I said, "What do you do, Dad?" And he said, "Just tell him I'm a janitor," because he wasn't a bragging type. And my mother, I asked her, I said, "Is Dad a janitor?" And she said, "No. He was a property and supply clerk, I think." And then I got on up bigger. And about the 11th grade, I got pretty brave, and I asked him myself about it. I said, "Dad, are you still a property and supply clerk?" And he was a contracts administrator and had been for a few years. He just didn't brag. And I don't like bragging. I try not to do it myself because it's not good at all. And so I thank God for everything this morning. It's as well with me as it is, and I hope it is with you. If there's anything I can do for you, I'd be more than happy to, if God would help me and show me what you need. Or if you want to tell me a scripture that you would like for me to use sometime, if I can get God to help me. If I can't, now there's no sense in it. But other day, a man asked me to speak on a certain scripture, and I told him if I could get God to help me with it, and I believe he did, and so I did for him. So I love you. I love you very, very much. May God bless you.